Welcome to Pasco County Schools Summer Food Service Program Training for Field Trips. The Summer Food Service Program was established to ensure that low-income children, 18 years of age and younger, continue to receive nutritious meals when school is not in session, primarily in the summer months. The meals are provided by way of the sponsor to the sites. Pasco County Schools Food and Nutrition Services is the program sponsor. This program is administered by the United States Department of Agriculture at the national level and the Florida Department of Agriculture and Consumer Services, also known as FDACS, at the state level. Training is very important to ensure a successful program. In this training, we hope to convey open lines of communication between us, the sponsor, and you, the sites, the importance of accurate record keeping and accountability for required job duties. Any person serving meals to children must be trained prior to the program operation. This includes staff that will be serving meals on field trips or other special events. The form you will complete after this training will serve as your sign-in sheet. You will be emailed a copy of the sheet. Please keep a copy of the training sheet with you anytime you are serving meals. Understanding the meal pattern and requirements for each meal is crucial to ensure the program requirements are met. Only complete meals may be claimed for reimbursement and recorded on the daily meal count sheet. Let's look at what is required for each meal service. Breakfast is a 3-component meal made up of grains and breads, vegetables, and/or fruits, including juice and milk. Lunch meals are made up of 4 components. However, 5 items are required. They are meat or meat alternate, 2 vegetables and/or fruits, including juice, grains and breads, and milk. During field trips, the meals will be pre-packaged for you and will meet the meal pattern requirements. You must ensure that children take the entire meal along with the milk through the point of service in order for the meal to be counted. Anyone who is concerned with potential allergies should be directed to the Meal Viewer website so that they can review the nutritional information and determine whether or not a student can participate. Supervision requirements are strict for the program. Someone who has completed this training must be present for all meal services. During audits, which can occur at any time, the personnel on site will be reviewed. It must match the personnel listed on an application on file with FDACS. This includes field trips and other special events. If inclement weather changes the plans of a field trip, you will need to notify your site contact immediately. We are required to relay this information to FDACS and gain verbal approval over the telephone for the change in serving location, time, or date. Only changes related to weather can be approved verbally. Other program changes must be reported a minimum of 5 business days ahead of time. The changes must be submitted to FDACS and approved before the change can be implemented. If a field trip is not reported ahead of time, food may not be taken off-site. The Florida Department of Agriculture and Consumer Services also has monitors that will make unannounced visits during your field trip. They will arrive prior to meal service and stay through the entire service. The USDA at both the national level and regional level may make unannounced visits as well. Please be prepared for these visits and report them to your district contact as soon as possible. If you receive a copy of a report, you will need to provide that as well. Site visits will generally include a review of the following: the number of children in attendance, are meals being counted appropriately, is the area safe and adequate for storage and serving, are meals being marked off as the children pass through the point of service the way that you were trained, are meals being served during the allowed and approved serving times, is all documentation up to date and on site as required by the state agency. The point of service is the point at which a student receives their meal and it is tallied. The meal count is the tally that is taken electronically when each student passes through the point of service. These tallies are used to claim reimbursement for the meals served, which is how the program is funded. As we discuss these meal count procedures, please keep in mind that it is very important that these procedures are followed exactly. Failure to do so can result in financial penalties or loss of the program. Let's take a look at a detailed depiction of an accurate point of service. The children walk in, get their meal. The meal is marked off the electronic tally sheet by the site supervisor or other trained site personnel, also making sure that all components were received prior to marking off the meal. Remember, if all components are not received, the child must go back through the line and get the required components, and then pass through the point of service again before the meal can be marked as served. The child takes a seat and consumes the entire meal on site, with the exception of a single fruit, vegetable, or grain component that can be taken off-site and consumed at a later time. So in essence, the point of service is the point where the meals are verified as having all the required components and are marked off on the meal count sheet. Meals are delivered in a single unit. Children should not break apart the bag prior to the point of service. Only one point of service is permitted per site and must remain available through the entire meal serving time. There are two ways that meal counts can be recorded. If you have access to an electronic device that is connected to the internet, you are able to use our MealZone application. You can access the application by going to the link provided or by going to MyPasco Connect and adding the application called MealZone. Additionally, if you do not have an electronic device, you can use a paper tally sheet. Let's look at how the web tally works. The electronic tally sheet application, also known as MealZone, will be used instead of a paper tally sheet to ensure accurate accountability and recording of meals at the time of service. The tally sheet application must be used for all points of service during the summer food service program, except during field trips. The web-based version should be used by off-sites where the site staff is serving the meals and by non-FNS staff. Before meal service, log in to the MealZone website. The first screen of the tally sheet should be completed prior to the start of service. Select your site from the drop-down menu. The first and last name of the person serving the meal must be entered. Nicknames or first names only are not permitted. The date will automatically populate and cannot be changed. The number of meals prepared or meals delivered to your site should be entered. Once this information is complete, click on the Serve button to start the tally process. The second page of the tally sheet is the meal service screen. You should have this screen up during the entire meal service. When a complete meal is served, click the large green Serve Meal button. The remaining meals will decrease while the meals served will increase. If you need to remove a meal because you made a mistake, use the red minus button. If you serve a meal to a member of the community, which is someone who is not enrolled in a regular program at your site, please click the Community button, not the Serve button. This will increase both the meals served and the community count. This will give us an accurate count of community participation at our summer food service sites. When you are finished with meal service, press the Done button. A box will pop up asking if you are finished. This will take you to a review screen. Please review this information carefully as it cannot be changed. Once you are complete, click the Submit button. You will see the Done screen and meal service is completed. Paper tally sheets are available but should only be used for field trips. Or if a mobile device is unavailable, there is a power outage or other serious event. If a paper tally sheet is used, it should be returned to the site preparing your meals no later than the following morning, along with an explanation of why paper was used. If your site is approved to take field trips and you have submitted the field trip form more than 1 week in advance of the field trip, you will have the following choices of meals to take with you on a field trip. Please discuss with your prep site ahead of time. Please note that all sites must remain open during field trips and have meals available to serve anyone from the community. When an item has not been served to a student, for example, you were delivered 20 meals but only 15 students showed up. The remaining 5 meals have not been claimed for reimbursement, meaning they have not been passed through the point of service and have not been paid for. These items need to be kept at the appropriate temperature and either returned to the prep site or served the following day. Now we will talk about food safety in the summer food service program. As a summer food service program site supervisor, you work very hard to serve healthy, nutritious meals to children when school is not in session. Food safety is a priority when serving these children. Thousands of children participate in summer programs around the state every year in schools, parks, community centers, and at camps. The safety of the food you serve should be your top priority. As much as you want food served through the program to contribute to the children's well-being, you also don't want them to cause harm. Foodborne illness with nasty bacteria can creep in very slowly. It doesn't matter if the food is hot or cold, the potential is there for food safety incidents. If you're not careful, bacteria will grow without your permission, which could cause someone to get sick. When these incidents happen, there can be serious consequences and severe illnesses that can cause even death. Even with all the training and awareness available to us, these things still happen all the time. And think of all the negative publicity that can come out in that event, which could undermine the confidence of parents and children and the community at large, all of which could jeopardize the future of your program. Could this happen at your program? Are you sure your site is operating safely? Let's look at one of the most common causes. Temperatures. Keeping food out of the danger zone is the number one goal. As some of you know, the temperature danger zone is above 41 degrees and below 140. That's the zone where bacteria multiply at the fastest rate. Keeping cold foods below 41 and hot foods above 140 is the best way to keep food safe. So make sure your site has a thermometer. You should always have thermometers in your refrigerator, but there are several ways that your food temperatures can be compromised. As we look at these, think about your site, and if there is a chance, it could apply to you. Deliveries. What was the temperature when the food was loaded into the delivery vehicle? How long is the trip to your site? And how long will food be inside the vehicle on a hot summer day? Temperatures could be compromised. Refrigerators and coolers. Again, be sure they are working properly, and don't try to cram too much food inside, because they will definitely lose their efficiency. And be sure to put good working thermometers inside. In some cases, you may pour a ton of ice inside a cooler. That is good for a short while, but please don't try and keep milk in there overnight. You will need a refrigerator for that. Please be sure your staff understands what the temperature danger zone is and how to keep food safe at all times. How about when you get food deliveries? If your site gets food deliveries, the safest procedure you can follow, especially because they usually arrive when you're busy, is to get the refrigerated foods put away first, then foods for dry storage. You should be recording temperatures on your delivery slip. This is one of the things that the state will look for. The temperature should be recorded when it leaves the production kitchen and checked again when it's delivered. If you ever did encounter a foodborne illness issue, accurate temperature recording will help back you up. Your site should have a probe thermometer like this so they can check for themselves any potential hazardous items. Let's talk about another common cause of foodborne illness. That's right, many times food can get contaminated by not washing your hands often enough. So now let's learn how to wash our hands. To be most effective and kill most of the germs, make sure you wet them and lather them sufficiently. But before you rinse, sing happy birthday to yourself out loud. That will take about 20 seconds. Then you can rinse and dry with a paper towel. Remember, when you are working in food service, there's no such thing as washing your hands too often. And always wash before working with food, before putting on food service gloves, and before handling clean servingware. Gloves should be used anytime you touch food. This means if you are assisting students in opening a milk carton, you should have gloves on. It's even more important to always wash your hands after using the toilet, sneezing or coughing, touching your hair or face, which you shouldn't do anyway, after you have something to eat or drink, or after chewing gum, which you shouldn't be doing either, after cleaning up the mess you just made, after handling dirty servingware, after taking out the trash, after using your cell phone. And some people still don't know that if you use your cell phone with your gloves on, that is not a safe practice. If you have new staff on board, or if they are not accustomed to working around food, please be sure you train them on the basics. Here are some common hygiene issues that are often overlooked. Your clothes should be clean, and sleeveless shirts are not permitted when working in food service. You should wear shoes that are safe, with socks and closed-toed, no sandals. If you are working around open, unpackaged food, you should always wear hair restraints. Nail polish should not be worn, or false nails. Jewelry should be modest. If you have a cut or abrasion, be sure to put on a bandage. Beyond that, make sure your sites are aware of the local health department guidance. The And Justice for All poster must be displayed in a prominent location at all serving sites. These posters are made available to all sites on the first day of operation and outline each person's civil rights. This concludes our training. If you have any questions regarding anything discussed in this training, please email fns@pasco.k12.fl.us. Please complete the required form certifying that you have received this training. The link is in the email that was sent to you.